Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ake Dikhea Romani Film Festival in Berlin this year for the fourth time and the first time online. My name is Rebecca Heile. I'm a member of this year's jury, and I'm talking to you live from the club SO36 in Kreuzberg, Berlin. You just watched a short film program of 3 films, Prodana by Alexandra Nestorov, Chacho by Vitalii Havura, and Letter of Forgiveness by Alina Serban. And I'm very happy to welcome all of the 3 directors to this Q&A. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, thank you for your films. I would like to start with Vitalii. Vitalii is talking to us from Kiev in Ukraine. And Vitalii, you made the film Chacho. It's a very new film, actually, from this year. And I would like to ask you about your access to the story, or how you came up with the story. You wrote the script also. Just quickly, it's a fiction film, and it's about a young Roma man who's about to get married, and he's also gay, and he has to decide somehow if he's gonna be married or not to a woman, or if he's coming out. And could you tell us about your access to this story?
Hi everyone. Yes, my story in the film is fiction. I was writing it during 1 year. And of course, I wanted make my story based on true story, but in Ukraine we haven't anyone who want to talk about his experience. We haven't no one open-minded, open gay Roma people. And I was showing stories abroad, in Poland, in Slovakia, in Czech Republic, and some stories I was showing in Ukraine in personal discussion. Some people was talking me about some stories about some guys, some friends, which they know about it. In Ukraine, this story about LGBT Roma people absolutely closed. But I was in Belgium, in Brussels, on one symposium conference about Roma LGBT people. It was a presentation, one book with personal stories, and I read these stories, and my film, of course, was have some near stories with these true stories, because I understood that in Roma culture a lot of experience, a lot of emotional experience for people are around marriage,
Mm-hmm.
And I understood that my story should be about marriage, because many gay people, gay guys and lesbian guys, they started to talk with their family, with their parents about their orientation, only because of their parents want to make married for his children, you know. And I understood that I close, you know, and yeah, that's.
Okay, so it is inspired by real stories, but nobody actually wanted to tell their story. But so you fictionalized it, as I understood it correctly. And then I also wanted to ask you about the visual style. It's very striking, I think, with a lot of overexposure, a lot of brightness, a lot of light, like almost like an, I would say, image film or like these wedding films. Could you say something about it?
Well, yeah, of course, I was studying a lot of about Roma culture during 2 years. I had before one documentary film about Roma, and I understood that those people, you know, really open-minded, really emotional, really really cool, really color bright. It's something um honest, you know, for them, but not about, of course, LGBT community. But it's another story. And I understood that style of our movie should be like that. And we had a consultant in our movie, and of course, she told us that, you know, guys, I had my marriage, my wedding, and we can see the video of my wedding, and you can understand what is this actually. And of course, we was watching many movies in internet, but her personal wedding were really exciting for us, you know. It was really brightly color, and I understood that it could be my, you know, art decision when I can work with color. For example, red color, yes, it's color of blood, and it could be color of this wedding, and etc., etc., and color of dress of mother, for example, yes, which color it could be. And we was talking a lot about it with our designer. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So colors are very, very important. In the beginning, you use an archival footage. You use black and white historical scene. I would like to ask you about it. Is it from a film, or could you tell something about this? Like how you frame the film?
Well, in the beginning of film, we can see
Vitalii? I think Vitalii is stuck. Okay. I think he's coming back. In the meantime, I would like to say that you have the audience has the option to vote for a film. So there is an audience award, and please vote for the films after you watch them. Vitalii, we lost you for a second. Please, can you continue?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a problem with my computer. Yes, about video in the beginning of the film. It's archive from our archive studio in Kiev. It's video from Soviet Union video in one Roma theater. It was actually seen about wedding in Roma culture in Soviet Union. And for me, you know, this video really fiction and not real. Yeah, it's something about theater. It's something about really nice and smile people. Something about not true. You know. And I thought that it could be good because for many of us and for me before, Roma people, it's something exotic, it's something not understanding, it's something unreal, it's something another. And in the film, we can understand, we could understand that it's actually real people who has really problems, you know, and it's real story, and it could be happen with any one of us, you know, because in Ukraine we have a lot of problem with LGBT people in general, you know, not only in the Roma community, of course.
I would say society has a problem with the LGBT people.
Of course. So this video, those video was something about not real and not true, and after that we can see maybe true story. For me, it was true story, of course.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Vitalii. If there are questions in the audience, please type them in the chat on YouTube or on Facebook, and I will try to take them. Vitalii, you were talking about real people, and I would like to get to real people because there's also a documentary in the program, Prodana, by Alexandra Nestorov from Serbia. She's talking to us right now from Belgrade. Hello, Alexandra.
Hello.
Your film is about 4 women that were married very early. And yeah, could you say something? Because as I understood, the film was made in collaboration with the Roma Women's Center. Could you just say something about this production process?
I am a member of women's rights movement in Serbia for 15 years now, so we collaborate among organizations who are members of the feminist women's movement in Serbia for so long. So different kind of the initiatives regarding documentary movies came and together. This is not the first time that we are collaborating. So this time invitation came from the Roma Center, Women's Roma Center, BBA from Belgrade. They invited us, me and film crew to make a movie basically dedicated to documenting stories, life stories of elderly Roma women. So it was, the focus was on the childhood, education, employment, and marriage. But first of all, the idea was to save, to document the history, the experience of elderly Roma women, because by the time as any other community, Roma community is also in a constant change, so they wanted to pick a spirit of a time. So we started collecting stories. We did interviews with 17 Roma women, and all of them are amazing stories, but it's a short movie, so we needed to pick. We picked 3. Then 3 would be a proper rhythm and dynamic for the short movie, but then we wanted another one, and also the other stories will be used in a different media to be shared with the community, with the audience.
Which
So,
one was the one that you wanted to include at any cost?
well, it was the third story. Actually, one of the protagonists is the mother of our producer.
Ah.
So she was like, no, let's not take it. Because it's a little bit personal, but at the end, I mean, all of them were so amazing, and I mean, all 17 could be there for sure. But as I said, it's a short movie, and for this first, let's say, product of our work, this is it. But for sure, other stories will be used and presented in different media and shared with the public.
Okay, so it's a whole campaign behind this film.
Yeah, forced marriages are a really important issue, not only among Roma communities, but among communities everywhere in the world. Roma Association of Women Bibia from Belgrade, they are specifically picking this issue to do raise awareness campaigns and support to provide support to young women, young Roma women, and support them to go to further educate and talk with also families and parents to support their
yes.
girls to go to school and not to be early married. So this is like one of the strategic issue they raise in Serbia, and I found it very important. As a woman, I found it very important.
And did the four protagonists know each other? Or did you bring them together?
Most of them are actually became activists, Roma women activists, because all of them were Roma Association of Women Bibia. They are working for 20 years now in different settlements in Belgrade, Roma settlements in Belgrade and around. So actually those women to whom we were speaking to and whom you see in the movie, they are actually members of the organization for so long. So now they are activists and those who motivate public discussion within own communities regarding position of women, girls, and supporting those who have survived some form of violence, or supporting them in the education and employment. And so yes, they know each other, but also this was a really nice let's say event that they came together. We are very sad because since we were submitting we were selected to different festivals, but we haven't had a chance to see the movie in the cinema, in the theater. That is some kind of the moment that I'm waiting for to go together, all of us, and to watch the movie on the big screen. I think that would be really event for all of us.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be very emotional, and I hope you will be able to do that soon and have this shared moment of joy and accomplishment. Thank you very much, Alexandra. if there are questions in the audience, please let me know and type them in the chat. I'm sure the directors are happy to answer them. And now I would like to come to the third film, Letter of Forgiveness by Alina Serban. The film is also very recent, from this year, produced this year in Romania. And Alina Serban is also, well, she was at the Ake Dikhea Film Festival last year, and she just in September this year won the award for Best Actress in Germany for the film Gypsy Queen. So yeah, it's we're very glad to have you here with Letter of Forgiveness. And I would like to, yeah, the film is about a time in Romania when Roma were slaves, and it's taking place in 1855. And it's the story of a mother and a son. And Alina, the film is very exquisitely designed. It's really, it feels somehow it adapts the feeling of yeah, US southern states, these big mansions with slaves. Were you inspired by these southern drama films?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. I would say no, not at all. I would say as an inspiration was The Favorite. I really enjoyed that film, which is a story about this queen. It's set in a kingdom. It inspired me as lighting goes and as a bit of design, but I wouldn't say it was the American films. And also because really we had to work with what we had in a way. It's my first ever film, and we didn't have a lot of options, to be honest with you, of location, of so it was my desire to really to show that these people were wealthy people, which was true, that they had this mansion and they owned slaves, and the slaves would not look dirty because they were house slaves. So there was a difference between the slaves that were outside and the slaves that were inside the house, because many times the owners would even brag about their type of slaves, and look how I dressed him, look how I dressed her. So I knew we have to take this in consideration. But really, this was an independent short film. I produced it myself, and I have to say that many of the things we couldn't really choose. We had to manage, and hopefully we all together we put together a story that is at least honorable.
To me, it was really like a perfect period piece, and I didn't notice any like what you said, like that you were improvising or something. But I read it is part of a bigger project. Can you say something about this? Like
I haven't heard the question. Sorry.
I read that the short film, it's part of a bigger project, of a feature-length project. Could you say something about this? Or
the dream is to make a feature, but And actually, this is how I started. I wrote a feature, but I knew that nobody would really invest in a beginner and to trust me with a historical film. But I believed in the story, and I hopefully I managed to make other people believe. So we went together in this great adventure, but definitely we all dreamed to come back together for a feature. It would be the dream, and I hope one day to invite you all. I cannot say when, but I can tell you that I will not give up.
Okay, we're very much looking forward to it. The title of the film, Letter of Forgiveness, the character that is actually played by you, the main character, Maria, she receives, or she has this letter of forgiveness. And it's a bit of a misleading title because, I mean, it's not that somebody asks her for forgiveness, is it?
During those times, people, slaves will they will ask their owners to be freed, and if that will happen for some reason, they will receive a document, or even the verb back then would be called "I forgive you" from slavery. So it'd be this is how it was called. It was a document of really stating the fact that you are a free person. And it really inspired me because of this nuance of forgiveness. How could the slave want to be forgiven when he or she didn't had any guilt?
Yeah.
But I was inspired by how they were talking and they were using this term back then. And if you allow me, I will like to make a mention, some historical mentions that
Please.
have connection with today, with nowadays. For example, in Romania too, many times we, the Roma, we are put to the corner and accused because of the early marriages that are happening in our culture. But we always forget to mention that this started in slavery times. And it was a way to protect the girls from the fact that the owners were taking them at private parties, they were taking virgins, so on and so forth, and that the fact that during those times many rapes happened, and even the character of my film, Maria, she was raped, and then she had this child who was the child who buried in a way like two identities, the one of being the son of the owner, but in the same time the son of a slave, his mom. But in connection to nowadays, even the word that we use in Romania, which is very pejorative for Roma, which is, I would just call it for just for information's sake, but I don't agree with it, is Țigan, the word Țigan. It was linked to any person that was a slave back then. And it was not just Roma. It was there were other ethnicities enslaved back then. And what is interesting for me today to understand that word, at least in Romania, has the same weight, historical weight, and pain and prejudice and all that as the N word has in America. So it's linked directly to the slavery times. But very, very few people know about this, and also about the early marriages connection with this history. And in connection to early marriages, because Alexandra was speaking earlier about this, I want to add something that, at least in Romania, I don't know what's the situation in other Balkanic countries, but at least in Romania, we hold the first place of minors who have children, and that's not just Roma people. So I want to mention that I think this being a minor and a mom, I think it's a problem of Europe in itself and many countries, and it's not just a Roma problem. And we have to attach it to a context of a sociological context of poverty, and not just an ethnical problem. And if we do, at least in Romania, as I said, I do not know about other countries, but at least in Romania, when we speak about early marriages and we do not put them in a context, we end up again blaming and making Roma people look as savages and perpetrators. And then we have the white saviors coming to save our girls, which is definitely something I do not agree with. I come from a Roma family, a traditional Roma family. Early marriages were a reality. At my door, it could have happened to me, but my mom did not agree. So I have definitely mixed feelings about how we talk about this, at least in the Romanian context. And definitely going back to Roma slavery, this is such a taboo subject that we, the Roma, don't know, and the non-Romas also don't know, because this subject is not yet in the history books.
Yeah.
I found out only when I was 20.
Oh.
We barely know about Holocaust. I speak as a Romanian, not really. I don't know what other Roma people know in other countries, but at least in our history books, we don't get really to ever know that we were victims of something. We only know we are perpetrators, and that we are the bad people in the stories. So it's for me was very important to go back and ask why we are at this, why we are at the margins of society today. Is that the place that we deserve? The discrepancies between us, is it something that we should blame ourselves for? And then obviously we could call the lack of privileges that one have and somebody else doesn't have, but obviously this comes from the past. It's not really from 10 years ago. It's even more. At least in Romania, the Romanian Roma story starts with slavery. Our stories together are linked from the first moment with a document stating that we as Roma were sold to a church, because the church had the biggest slaves, like the number wise. The church owned the majority of the slaves, then the state, and then private owners. In the film, now it's set quite close to the abolition of slavery in 1856. Around 1857, around then, the final abolition of slavery happened. And if I would ever have the chance to make a feature about this boy that is in my film played quite an important role in bringing sooner the abolition of slavery. Sorry, I
So
talked too
he's
much.
a political character, actually, then.
Yes,
or
it's
could develop into.
I'm not sure if I could call it a political character, but definitely the story, it's a human one, first of all, because regardless of our differences, I want to come back to what makes us humans, and that's universal. So my interest was, at least in the short film, and I hope to develop that more in the feature, is to question what it's like to share the motherhood love of two moms for the same boy, and one is the owner and the other one is the slave. And I found that perspective, this corner of the story, interesting to explore. and the boy, hopefully in the future, will get a bit more of a story as well. But now, at least in the short film, I was very much interested in the connection that the mom has with her boy, and the fact that the other character, the other mom, loved him as so much too. And I wanted to understand the owner as well.
Yeah, that's really an intriguing angle, looking at the relationships, no, to possess or love or. And I thank you also very much for the explanations. I think there's a lot of things that are not known to everybody, including myself, also with the early marriages and. But yeah, what I do think really is that society, and especially majority population, has to educate themselves and know about the history of the minorities. And yes, so actually we are already a bit, time's up a bit. So I thank you all very much for these Q&As. Also for the audience, if anybody experienced a problem with screening a letter of forgiveness, please try to rewatch because it's working. So yeah. Okay. So thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Vitalii. Thank you, Alina. And we hope to see you soon. Goodbye. Bye. And for you, dear audience, please get back to us tomorrow. It's the last day of the festival. We have another film program. We have another film program in the evening, Memories of Appleby Fair, Active Citizen, and Rosa's Song. And then the award ceremony. That will be also very interesting. So thank you very much for your attention and have a good night.